There's a channel on Roku called INC. There's a movie on there called Point Pleasant, written and directed by James Smith. It's the story of a group of people attacked by the legendary Mothman creature. After watching this fascinating movie, I began to wonder about the true story behind the Mothman. While doing some research, I found out that Point Pleasant, West Virginia, is where it all occurred. I decided to take a trip to Point Pleasant and see what I could find out about the Mothman legend. Welcome to Point Pleasant, nestled in the beautiful mountains of West Virginia. It's here in this improbable location that the story of the Mothman first began. Every year they have an annual festival here in Point Pleasant to celebrate the Mothman's visit to this town. Every year they try to figure out exactly why he was here, in this small little town in West Virginia. They even have a Mothman museum.
This is Mothman Museum, and we want to send Mothman. Here's Mothman.
Things haven't changed a whole lot in Point Pleasant since 1966, when this all began. Everything's pretty much as it was when Mothman came to town. We're going across the Silver Memorial Bridge now into Gallipolis, Ohio. It was on this side of the river that the bridge collapsed. The snow's coming down very heavy now. I think the roads are going to start getting treacherous pretty soon. Although this bridge isn't exactly the same spot as the Silver Bridge when it collapsed, it's pretty close. It's kind of eerie to drive across it. I know there's a hotel that looks out over the bridge. I think this might be a good spot to stay the night and do some research onto what happened when Mothman came to visit. By the time we settled into our room, the snowstorm had hit full force. Most of the major roads were closed. I used the time, once back in the room, to look through all the articles I could find online and to view the photographs of the disaster. I came to one conclusion. These people did see something. Whatever they saw, they never forgot. It was rather unsettling, almost unnerving, to be looking at all of these articles and seeing these photographs while staring at the actual Silver Memorial Bridge from my hotel window. What is the story? What are the facts as we know them? Well, here's what I was able to glean from my research. On November 15, 1966, two married couples were parked at a lover's lane in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. These two couples saw two giant red eyes, and it scared them. They didn't really know what to make of it. They described it as 6 to 7 feet tall with red eyes and no head. It's as if the eyes were set in the chest area, and it had huge wings. The creature came toward them. They took off and the creature followed them right up to the city limits of Point Pleasant. They were very scared. They reported it to the local sheriff, and he went and investigated. He said he saw something out of the corner of his eye, like something taking off and landing, but that's all he saw. The reports, of course, weren't taken very seriously by the local press, but then more and more people began seeing this creature. As many as 100 said they saw it, and they described the same creature. The creature became known as the Mothman. Other things began to happen. UFO appearances, mutilated dogs, and many strange things happened in the area of Point Pleasant. All of them began after the first sightings of the Mothman. John Keel arrived about a month after the initial sightings, and he began putting together evidence and stories on the Mothman phenomenon. He became more and more deeply involved in the events, but this was just the beginning. Keel began to be given prophecies by the entities he was dealing with in Point Pleasant. One in particular said when President Johnson turned on the Christmas lights at the White House, there would be a massive blackout. Keel began to think that the phenomenon were fooling him and leading him on. On December 15th, though, Keel was in an apartment in Manhattan. He was waiting for the blackout to occur, when suddenly, across the bottom of the TV, he saw a bridge collapses into Ohio River, and he knew this is what the prophecy was talking about. The Silver Bridge, which crossed the Ohio River between Gallipolis, Ohio, and Point Pleasant, West Virginia, had collapsed. 67 people fell into the river. 46 died. They recovered only 44 of the bodies. Several people who died were related to witnesses of the Mothman. There were over 100 Mothman sightings leading up to December 15th, 1967. This is the Silver Memorial Bridge. This is where the Silver Bridge used to stand. On that December 15th morning, the town was full of Christmas shoppers, and that bridge was full of people going to shop. There were 36 cars on the bridge when it collapsed. 47 people died. 9 people were seriously injured. It was the worst bridge disaster in United States history. We're about 1 mile upstream from where the disaster occurred. At the Silver Bridge Disaster Historical Marker, they have a very unique piece of history. The bridge, instead of using woven wire cable, was suspended on heat-treated eye-bar chains. It was named the Silver Bridge because it was the first in the world to be painted with aluminum paint. In 1969, 2 years later, its replacement, the Silver Memorial Bridge, was dedicated 1 mile away. Let's take a look at what the original eye bars looked like. The Silver Bridge eye bar. This eye bar is similar to the one used, the fracture causing the crash of the Silver Bridge on December 15th. This is what it actually looked like. This is one of the I-beams. This unique structure is what held up the Silver Bridge. Over the years, it began to have stress fractures. This is what caused the catastrophic failure. Once this cleaved off, it dropped the roadbed. The roadbed then caused the rest of the I-beams to crack and fail all the way down. causing the entire bridge to fall into the river. Legend has it, Mothman was seen above, the very I-beam that failed. This is the legendary Mothman statue in Point Pleasant. No one knows why the Mothman chose Point Pleasant. Whether he was here to warn of the bridge collapse, or if he was here to bring the doom to this city. You can see James Smith's Point Pleasant on INC this month.